The self-doubt in your head. You can win awards, earn 6 figures, and still wrestle with a quiet voice that says, "Don't mess it up. Play smaller. Stay safe." That inner critic isn't a lack of ambition. It's a lack of trust in yourself. And it shows up at the very moments you need courage most. I help high-achieving men and women rewire their inner self-talk from self-doubt to self-direction so they can stop shrinking and start shining with relentless confidence.
I'm just trying, but you deal with something, believe it or not, is very similar to mine, my movement. You do a lot with imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Biggest thing in my mind, that little voice in there says you're not good enough, you're struggling, your speech, you can't do that, you can't write a book. I mean, the imposter syndrome I know all about.
Yeah.
But you also you've done your world. You're a speaker. You're award-winning speaker. Tell me about what you do.
Yes. Well, anytime that I can grab the microphone, so to speak, or, enter a room, be on a podcast where I can share my story and my message. I have my 8-year-old inner child that does a happy dance in my heart because I was 8 years old, and because I was a really good reader, reading books out loud in the classroom or group situation, the adult would say, "Lee, you're such an amazing reader. Would you come to the front of the class and read to us?" Or I had my catechist teacher who would say, "Lee, you're so good at reading. Would you read the scriptures at a service sometime?" And so that was the day that I got in front of 300 people in the congregation, and I had no stage fright because all I thought about was I'm going up and I'm reading, and I'm looking out at the 300 people, and they're looking back at me, and they just have a smile on their face, and it was just a wonderful experience. And the real magic that happened for me, Aaron, was when I walked away from the sanctuary that day, and this little shiver went through my body. And I thought, what is that feeling, and how do I get that again? And so I kept finding ways to get into the front of the classroom, only if I had an idea. This was not about me being somebody wanting to be the center of attention, because that is not who I am. It is not about me being a know-it-all, because there were many times I was shrinking in my desk thinking, please don't call on me, please don't call on me. But in the moments that I did have something to share, I wanted to be in the front of the room and watching everybody to see if they were nodding and understanding, or if they were nodding off, falling asleep, right? To see what kind of impact that I had. And it was not until my junior year of high school that I learned that people would rather be in the coffin at the funeral than giving a eulogy, meaning they would rather face death than they would an audience, right? And I thought, what? This is so fun. So this is what I love doing. And throughout my life, I've gained over 30 years of personal development. I was first introduced to Tony Robbins when I was in college, and I've learned from so many great leaders, particularly thought leaders along the way, from Tony Robbins to Mel Robbins all these years later, right? And taking those lessons, taking their ideas, and then my personal journey where I have dealt with adversity. I've dealt with resilience. I've dealt with those valleys that I've had to climb out of. And the most recent one was a heavy, dark cloud of depression that I lived with for over 2 years. And I was so good at masking with a smile that everybody seems to love. And I was even masking that depression from myself because I lost being present in my day-to-day life. At that time, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I lost being present in that chapter of my life. So I was not aware of the depression until I was. And then when I did, I made the decision and the intention to get myself out of that depression using all of the learnings and tools that I got from my personal development studies. And now I've created my own framework and methodology to take that into speaking, because when I rediscovered my inner child, she said, remember how we love public speaking? Let's go do that. So here I am doing that.
Wow, now that is amazing. That is where, I had a mentor. Early on, he was a stroke survivor, but also was a marketing guy.
Mm,
And he said, if your passion becomes a job, you'll never work a day in your life.
so
And it
true.
sounds to me like, if I'm not mistakenly, you're not working. You're doing what you
No.
love.
Yes, I get to play every day. And I tell you what, the more play that you have in your life, the younger you stay, right? And because nobody guesses that I'm over 50, and they look at me like, "What?" And I just say yes. And I have two incredible children. I said, and my oldest is in his 30s, and look at me. Wait, aren't you in your 30s? So play play lets you stay young, and play lets you have fun. And I have a mentor who says if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And I think that is a fantastic mantra to keep in mind, that if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. Life is too short, right? And you probably know that all too well, Erin. I lost my grandfather to stroke. That the moment he had a stroke, that was end of line for him. And so knowing that we we don't know our day or time, and it could be in the next breath, or it could be the next decade. And so it comes down to, what do we do with that time, with the gifts that we have. And I just love how you're showing up in the world, Aaron, that you're like, yeah, so I had a stroke. I'm not going to stay hiding, people. I have value to bring. I'm going to show up and do it. And I love that. I love connecting with people like you, Aaron, because it's like nothing's going to stop me. Nothing's going to hold me back. When my peers and even my mentors asked me, Lee, why do you do what you do? And I said, because I really don't know what else to do. And I don't mean, in the knowing. There have been times I have like thought about stopping because maybe my business wasn't growing the way that I wanted to, or a life incident would happen, and I thought, maybe this is not what I'm meant to be doing. And there is a do not quit inside of me, so I find a different way to keep moving forward. And that is what makes the imposter syndrome, to me, so fascinating. Number one, because all of the leaders that I look up to, that I admire, I have heard them in their story at least once say they have dealt with or they still continue to deal with imposter syndrome. So when I look at them and I'm thinking, I want to be like them, I'm thinking, if I have imposter syndrome, I must be on the right path. If I didn't have it and felt so confident and so good about everything I was doing, I might ask myself, what's wrong with me that my leaders have imposter syndrome, but I don't? Maybe I'm not doing something right, right? But it's like, oh, it helps me to cheer myself on. I am on the right path. My leaders dealt with that. This is how they cope with it, and they break through it time and time again. Okay, then I can break through it too. And instead of, why not, I ask, why not me? And because there's only one Lee in the world, I'm not looking to be another Tony Robbins or a Mel Robbins or a Brene Brown or Marie Forleo, these leaders that I look up to. It's like, no, I want people to say, I want to be like Lee Smith. She's the one who reframes that imposter syndrome, and she does it in such a fun and playful way. I want to do that and go on to do the things that I'm meant to do in the world. And I believe that that's so important.
Well, Lee, I'm curious. I think it's important. We're just running the podcast recording. I'll edit this. But what is the definition? What do you consider imposter syndrome? What is it?
Yes, I look at it in two ways, and I'm glad you bring this question up, Aaron, because my husband and I had a conversation about this yesterday. And imposter syndrome, you are in a position, maybe a role, maybe you are in a C-suite executive role, and it was a promotion, and you know the competition of the other people vying for that position, and you were the one who got it. And you may be thinking, well, maybe Aaron should have got that position instead of me because I know Aaron is more qualified. I put my name in the hat, but I really thought for sure Aaron was going to get it because he has all of this on his CV and resume. He has all of these people skills. He has all of these things that I don't think that I do, but I'm the one who got the position. So it's kind of looking at yourself as less than the place where you are. Or it's stopping yourself from doing the thing that you want to do because you don't see yourself as good enough yet. This happens a lot with people who may be coaches, other communicators who want to do speaking, but they're thinking, I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm not Brendan Burchard. I am not Mel Robbins. I am not Oprah Winfrey. I'm not Michelle Obama. So if I can't speak like they speak, then who am I to be speaking? And so there's that sense of imposter syndrome. So now they're holding themselves back. So you got the level of imposter syndrome that says, I'm not sure I should be here. People are going to see right through me and think I'm a fraud. And then you have other people that are seeing imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough, so I'm going to hold myself back and keep myself hidden from the world. They become the world's best hidden secret, right? Best kept secret. That's the phrase I'm looking for. And when we can take that imposter syndrome and look at it, number one, like I do often, think about the people that you look up to and admire. Go dig into their stories. I can pretty much guarantee you will find a moment where they themselves have encountered imposter syndrome. And then follow the rest of that story and find out what did they do with that. And then acknowledge that because you also have imposter syndrome, you are in such good company. Two, recognize it's part of the human journey, but not everybody's journey. Typically, it is for those people who have something so meaningful, they're out in the world doing something. Whether it's like my chapter being a stay-at-home mom, I fought with imposter syndrome, like, am I a good enough mom? Am I doing the right things by my kids? And I'll see other mothers out there, thanks to social media, right? The comparisonitis. I'll see other moms, oh, they're doing such great things, or they have such great relationships with their kids. Am I doing it right? Or you can be entrepreneur, you can be a speaker, you can be a business executive, whatever your role is, you're doing something where you're trying to better yourself. You're doing, I want to take the word try out because there is no try. There is only do or do not. You are doing the work to be a better version of yourself. You are doing the work to do things with excellence. You are doing the work to do things with integrity. And it is those people that care about the way they show up and who they are showing up for that will encounter imposter syndrome. So that means, hey, I'm doing something and that matters. I matter and what I'm doing matters. So my imposter syndrome is really a validation of that. Because if you are just someone in the world breathing and existing and not really caring about anything, you're not likely going to be encounter imposter syndrome. So take it as a good sign, not as a not so good sign.
Yeah, I want to be sure I really understand it because I wrestle with what I think is imposter syndrome, being circular and all. But in all reality, and what you're saying to me is that imposter syndrome really comes down to comparing my skill set, who I am as a person, as a human being, to someone else's skill set. And,
Yeah.
part of Relentless, which is new for me, this brand, this is a book I'm going to be writing. But as you know, Jeffrey Hazelwood, when he wrote his book, Think Big, Act Bigger, his subtitle was Reap the Rewards of Being Relentless. And
Yes.
actually, I at that time was laying in my bed, fresh out of hospital, suicidal, wasn't doing good. But I realized that what you're saying, the imposter syndrome, is comparing myself. I am who I am. And like you just said, when I just talk, by hearing you talk, I was getting more and more excited because it- everybody has a form of imposter syndrome, whether they call it, it's comparing, don't compare. Let's be
Right.
real.
Yes. And comparison is hard not to do, right? It we how do we define or give meaning to anything that we do? A lot of it comes to comparison. I'm sitting in a chair, not on a desk, because that's a chair and this is a desk, and they are different, right? And how do we know what is good if we don't experience the bad? How do we know what is bad if we don't experience the good? There's comparisons everywhere, right? It's like, okay, what's blue? Well, it's not yellow, it's blue. And what's fast, what's slow, so we have all of that comparison. And this has been very amplified when the internet came about, and especially social media and platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where everybody is putting their best face forward. We don't get to see all of the behind the scenes. And then we start looking at, oh, well, so and so, I mean, it used to be the simple keeping up with the Joneses, right? We would look at our neighbors when we would step outside of our house, and it's like, oh, their house or that car or that yard. And we would have that comparison. And now we have about vanity. We're talking about, can you see that reflection as another human being and make eye contact, even though you know it's yourself? I unfortunately, Erin, I've met a handful of women, and it's very heartbreaking to me. They say, no, Lee, I can't do that. I can't look at myself. And I'm like, that's where we need to start then. But then if you can look at yourself, can you look at yourself in the eyes? Can you call yourself by name and follow it with the words, I love you, as if you were saying that to someone in your family, someone that you really care about, and you would say, hey, Erin, I love you. Can you do that with yourself? Again, looking at yourself eye to eye. Does that feel awkward? Does it feel weird? Does it feel uncomfortable? Dig deeper into that. Why? Why? And then get to this place where you can say that, not with arrogance, not with cockiness, but with a self-compassion, with a self-love, with an acknowledgement. And when you can do that, then your comparison has nothing to do with anybody else. Your comparison becomes comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. And not in a sense of shaming and guilting and self-deprecating and, oh, I messed up, or I let this down, I let myself down. No, it's comparing yourself and going, where did I show up today 1%, 1% better today than who I was yesterday? And make that a habitual question, one day at a time. Try that for 7 days. Ask yourself, where did I show up better today than who I was yesterday by 1%? And you'll notice your results start to change. And you'll notice that that imposter syndrome and that inner critic that tells you that you're not good enough is going to start to, instead of being a shouting match with you, is going to start to be a little bit calmer. It might even become a whisper. I won't tell you that it will go away completely. You might not even want it to go away completely, because there is a little bit of a reminder in there, and it might be that little bit of fire that gives you that oomph behind your try, right? That's the only way I like to use try. If you're going to try, put a little oomph behind it so you have a triumph instead of a failure.
Right. Man, I just love what you're saying. I mean, I think the biggest issue, that word self-love, can be said a couple of times. Hardest thing I had to do, and I think there's a lot of people, whether you have a stroke or not, that can look in that mirror. Like you said, do that mirror test. I love you. Honestly, I don't know that society or own minds train us to look and subdue self-love. I don't know what is it, because people think it's selfish. I don't know, but they've got to love myself, Lee.
Yeah, and I get it that the struggle is real. What I've learned is the voice that I listen to is my inner child's voice, because she's the one who believes believes in me. She's the one who keeps me grounded. And I grew up in a home. I'm the oldest of three, and I grew up in a home with young parents who didn't always get along with each other. So there was definitely a lot of fighting. But even more than that, I grew up with a household with one parent telling me all the amazing things about myself, and another parent telling me I wasn't good enough. And why couldn't I be like these other children who were so good? And so I would hear my dad's voice telling me all the good things. I would hear my mom's voice saying, "You missed a spot. Why can't why can't you be like so and so?" And I had to get to this place because I used to entertain myself in front of a mirror, because I learned early on that's the only way you can see yourself. If I'm sitting in front of you, Aaron, I can see your face, but I can't see my face while I'm looking at you. I can only see my face if I do look in a mirror, or if I'm looking at a picture of me, or in this case, looking at the camera and I can see the video of me. And so when I was playing this game with myself in the mirror, and I heard my dad's voice, and then I heard my mom's voice, and I thought, but what's my voice? And that's the challenge so many of us have, is that we don't find our inner voice. We're hearing somebody else. Maybe it is a parent, maybe it is an older sibling, maybe it's the bully at school, or the teacher, somebody in your life who has had a major influence in you, and it's their voice that comes through. But do you know your voice? And what is that voice saying to you? And that's where the love needs to come from, because that voice, it's connected to your soul, it's connected to the core of the truth of who you are. And that light, that energy, and that voice is so pure and so good. And in this day and age that we live in, Aaron, there's so much noise, right? Whether it's the social media and the ads that are coming at us, we have all the noise around us. We don't have the stillness and the quiet. If we're at work, or even wherever we are, we always have our phone with us, and maybe there's a notification coming in and coming in and coming in. If we're at work, we're dealing with meetings and emails and coworkers and teams. There's so much noise going on. And then there's so much noise going on inside our minds, the to-dos, where we're falling short, the expectations, and pushing ourselves, and we're trying to do all of the things. And where is that moment for you to discover your voice? I was fortunate, I was able to do that when I was young, and I've carried that with me all of these years. But today, again, if you're doing that mirror test and you have that moment of stillness and quiet, it, what voice comes up for you? And what's beautiful is that no matter what voice comes through, you can choose your voice, and you also get to choose the words that you say to yourself. So if you're hearing your voice say, well, you're not good enough, or, oh my gosh, look at that spot. Everybody must be staring at that spot on your face when they're looking at you. It's like, no, let that go. Let that go. Where can you say, you know what? You are the winner here. You are the winner. You are a winner every single day because you are here. How do I know that? Because science has shown that 300 million sperm fought their way to show up to that egg to make you. You are the winning sperm and egg combination that showed up. And here you are. Do you know, not only was it a fight among 300 million sperm, it was a fight for your mom and dad to meet. And then for their mom and dad to meet, and their mom and dad to... Do you know how the odds are in your favor? Not against you. The odds are truly in your favor. So you are the winner. That's not a platitude. It is a fact. It is a truth that you are a winner because you showed up today. And so when you can begin with just that, you're like, I don't even know where to begin. It's like, I don't like myself so much, Lee, and I'm fighting so much with the inner critic. I'm fighting so much with the imposter syndrome. I just feel down and out all the time. I get it. I was there. I was there too. And if you had looked at me on the outside, you would have thought I had it all together. But I didn't. I looked that way on the outside, but inwardly, I was in this massive, quiet desperation, fighting with my imposter syndrome, fighting with my inner critic, fighting because I had buried that true inner voice. But when I allowed myself to go on a quest, that's what I did. I had reached this point of such massive depression, and I became aware of it. And I said, I'm not okay with this. I know this is not who I am, but I don't know who I am anymore. Who is Lee? And when I made a decision to figure that out, and I did get in front of the mirror and I asked her, who are you? I see you, but who are you? And it was in that quietness and that stillness that I found that inner child again. And Aaron, can I share with you and the audience? I have a visual. It's a group of Scrabble letters, and it's the word reactor. Because when I discovered this, I was in my chapter as a stay-at-home mom, and I had lost. And being a stay-at-home mom, it was a dream come true for me. I am so thankful to my husband and the decisions that we made together to make that happen. And for the first many years, I was all in, and I was very present. But then life did happen, and along the way, I became a reactor where I was just going through the motions, going through my day to day. Wake up, make breakfast, get the kids up, get them to school, do the dishes, do the laundry. That was my day. Maybe your day in and day out is like, okay, get up, take my shower, grab the coffee, get in the car, fight the traffic, show up, clock in, do my thing, clock out, go home, heavy sigh, put my feet up on the couch, have my dinner. We all have our routines, right? We all have our mundane moments. If we lose the presence, we are living in this reactor state where we're just doing the things day in, day out. We're reacting to whatever circumstance comes our way. We're reacting to life happening. Is it convenient or is it not convenient? And we may be stressed and busy and overwhelmed, and we're like the letter C, where we see ourselves stuck in the middle of all the things. Now, what if I give you this invitation? I'm going to move the letter C out from the middle of the word. And that's the mirror work. Can you see yourself for your amazingness and your brilliance? Because you have it. I know you have it. And see yourself for who you really are. Remember who you are. If you take away all of your labels, if you take away all of your roles, and it's just you and you and you. That's a different way of saying me, myself, and I, right? It's just you and you and you. Who is it that you see? And when you can see that amazingness and that brilliance, and you see yourself first, and then you put yourself first, not in a selfish, arrogant way, but when you do that, everything else falls into place. And that's where the magic happens. Because then you see what is important, what is priority, what is in alignment with who you really are. And instead of being a reactor to convenience and circumstance, you now see yourself first, and you become the creator of commitment and congruency. And this allows you to set up your boundaries, to know where you can say no to and what you can say yes to. And it's first a yes to yourself. And instead of being a reactor, now you are being creator of the morning, the day, the week, the year, the life, the business that you want on your terms. And when the inner critic pops up louder than you want it to be, when imposter syndrome shows up and you're just wanting to pull your hair out because of that feeling, you can take a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself, am I being a reactor or am I being a creator right now? Because you always, always, always have a choice. And in that moment of choice, ask yourself, reactor to or creator of? And it's a creator of the best version of yourself. It's a creator of the best response to that situation. It's a creator of the situation to make it the best possible situation with what you have on hand. And I promise you that when you pay attention to that, and you set the intention to be the creator of that best version of yourself, you will see your results change. You will see your confidence rise. You will see that you do become, as Aaron's title here says, relentless. And that is a powerful thing. And you will see your life become so full of greatness, of amazing things, opportunities, relationships, your health and vitality, the way you feel about your life. It doesn't mean that everything's going to work out perfectly. That's not how life works. But it will guarantee that when things don't show up the way that you want them to, if that expectation becomes a little pressurizing or a little like what's happening right now, stepping in as the creator instead of a reactor, you are going to create the best possibilities from there. And those possibilities are endless. And you're worthy of that.
Lee, I am. Well, that was the energy was awesome, honey. Seriously, the energy was amazing. I felt like you were talking to me, straight to me, but listen, people. Well, we're at near the end of our show, our podcast. Lee, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, please give us your social media. How do we contact you? How do you coach us? What stuff?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Aaron. And I just so enjoyed this time together and sharing my story and my message. And I'm grateful that it's landing for you, and I hope it lands for the audience as well. And I love conversations, and I love all things related to your self-talk. And so the best way to work with me is let's start a conversation together. And you can go to rewriteyourselftalk.com. And when you go to rewriteyourselftalk.com, I want to give you a free gift. Is that okay? And that
Yeah.
free gift is a 5-minute reset. And it's a simple PDF that has 2 categories. On the left-hand side, I have don't say that. It's those typical things that are more on the negative leaning, and it's the things that we typically say to ourselves. So if you can catch yourself saying those phrases, then you want to reframe it into a positive. So the right-hand side says, say this. And I give you the positive sayings that you can say. One simple example is so many times we'll say, I'll try, I'll try, I'll try, right? But the truth is there is no try. There is do or do not, right? So instead of saying, I'll try, we're going to reframe that into saying, I'll commit. And the power behind that is if you're not going to commit, then say no. So that helps you to set up your boundaries. It's very, very powerful. And this one pager you can print out, you can have it at your desk and you can look at it. You can tape it to your bathroom mirror so that as you're getting ready for your day and you hear that negative come in, you can look at, oh, that's the negative thing I'm saying. This is what I'm going to reframe it to, and you start to repeat the positive saying. You can save it as a wallpaper on your phone and look it up on your phone when that pops in your mind. Like, oh, there it is. It's a very useful tool. And so that 5-minute reset, you are worth at least 5 minutes for yourself. So download the tool, print it out, use it, and when you implement it correctly, you will change, you will reframe, you will rewire your brain so it becomes habitually positive. And when that happens again, you will change your results. And that allows us to have a conversation because I'll see your name, I'll see your email, I will send you ongoing tidbits of information. I won't spam you, I won't overload you, I promise. But we'll have that conversation where we can go more into what I do to help reframe that imposter syndrome, really flip that negative, and so that you're stepping into the power that you have, from reactor into creator, so that you can go and do the things that you are meant to do and be in the world. You can be relentless because we do need more relentless people in the world. And I'm so grateful to be sharing this today with you, Aaron, and the rest of your audience. So one last time, if you want to start that conversation with me, I certainly welcome it. And that is rewriteyourselftalk.com.
Rewriteyourself.com. Lee, I cannot tell you. It's been my honor and pleasure to hear you speak. So thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it. And people out there, try the mirror test. I can't wait to look at myself differently in the mirror. I'm 62. I'm about to look at myself in the mirror for the first time and look at myself for who I am. And Lee, thank you so much. Again, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, I'll go back to